All right, welcome listeners to the second episode of Accidents on Purpose mini-sode. Discord, Datcord, any cord you want. Danny.
State of alert.
State of alert. Just to remind listeners, we're going through every release chronologically from Discord Records, and we are on number 2. State of alert. What's it called? No policy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hank. So I want to say this is going to be a very special episode.
Yeah?
I know it's weird to do a very special episode after the first one. This is the second one.
Yeah. Hey, special.
I mean, it's Henry Rollins.
Yeah?
I mean...
Well, man, this one hits Mondays. Henry Garfield.
You're right. Right now we're at Henry Garfield. He changed his name to Henry Rollins to avoid police and taxes when he joined Black Flag.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. And Rollins was the street he grew up on.
Oh.
And that's why he picked it. I will say, there are few people in this world I can say this about. I have a love-hate relationship with Henry Rollins.
Oh, yeah.
There's some people have said that about Kevin Smith. I just hate him. There's some people who've said that
Every time someone brings up Kevin Smith, the first person I think about is Kevin James. Every time, and I have to remind myself that that's not him. Continue.
Kevin James, someone that.
Yeah.
But Quentin Tarantino, I love him. I don't hate him at all. So, anyways,
okay.
Well, no, there are people who really like movies who they like his movies, but they hate him.
Oh yeah.
I would fucking love to do coke with Quentin Tarantino at his house.
Just like the Teen Idols.
That would be that happened.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really fun. I think just talking to him about movies, but that's not about him.
Yeah.
Anyways, Henry Rollins. So, several things about this band that I would like to bring up.
Okay.
Is there anything you want to bring up?
I think we're going to end up getting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
One, they used to practice in the house of the vice president.
Oh.
This is true.
Yeah, because so many kids in D.C. were kids of...
So one of the members of the band's dad works for the vice president, and there's a room at the vice president's residency that they're allowed to practice in. And Henry Rollins has said, he's like, yeah, he even admits, he's like, it was crazy. We were like all pumped up.
Yeah.
And we would like walk up and be like, oh, we have permission to be here. And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
And because this was the early 80s.
Yeah.
Late 70s, early 80s. And they were allowed to just like walk in. And then they go and they just like play. They just practice there.
I mean, I'm sure the Secret Service is like, oh, this kid's playing his punk music again. Like,
But yeah, so I think the band is passable. I think it's fine. His voice is... Go ahead.
Well, I mean, his voice is like... It's like... Yeah.
It's a little like strange.
It's really... It's like the worst form of Henry Rollins.
Except him reading poetry.
Yeah, except for him in general. Except for
poured
reading
salt in the slug.
Except for reading the later chapters of Get in the Van when it's just his diary.
Some years like the first journal entry. Ego Trip Department. This is my book. I bought it. May 13th, 1983. I'm always happy to rediscover my book. It's my time, my thoughts, my ego trip. And it doesn't have to bother anyone. That's cool. I still have to cover my tracks, for the chances of this volume falling into enemy hands are very great.
I really like the song Public Defender off it, like when I was listening to it. I was like, oh, this one kind of has more of a melody and like at least lyrics that are somewhat more or less like self-aware, I guess. I don't know. But the rest of it, like, it kind of reminded me of just white noise with like a shitty snare sound to it.
I think the guitar sounds okay. It's like really heavy.
It is heavy,
yeah,
and
that's
what I like about Public Defender is it's almost like sludgy.
Yeah. You're right. The tone of the guitar is almost like sludgy.
Yeah, and so it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work when it's like.
Yeah. One thing I'll say about this record that I'm really upset about So when I was 16 years old,
Yeah.
Get in the Van came out on both book form and audio. Book on tape.
Yeah.
I read the book, looked at all the pictures. I was like, this is amazing. And I listened to it. And in that book, I feel that he misrepresents himself because he's talking about Black Flag. He's talking about how awesome the band is. He's talking about how he finds out the band's playing in New York, and he drives up to see them.
Haagen-Dazs.
Well, and then he's like, I tell the band that I have to go home because I have to start my job.
Yeah,
in
they're
a
playing
few
at
hours.
Irving Plaza.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, this song's for Henry. It's called Clocked In. And he gets on the stage and he sings. And he goes back to his job, and he's like all happy. And then he's like, and then Black Flag like contacts me, and they're like, oh, we maybe want you to be the singer.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, it's like, oh, so he's just this kid who got up and impressed them. And then I found out from interviews with like Chuck Dukowski and stuff that Henry had already seen them play.
Yeah.
And he had mailed them a State of Alert record. And that they were like pen pals.
Yeah, yeah.
And that there was a lot of communication. So like they
not
were
just a magic moment.
Yeah, and so like they're already like they knew about this guy. They'd listened to his record.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well,
yeah.
Now you're like, I mean, I guess like that's a more romantic version, but it's not what happened.
He speaks in hyperbole. Like everything is either romanticized or like doom. You know, it's like he's larger than life.
And so I just felt like when I found out about that, like. I think like 15 years later, I was like, well, that's shitty. Like, you should have said, like, I mailed them the record of my band. You know, they knew what I sounded like. So when I saw them at the show, they probably were like, oh, you're Henry. Like, yeah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Thought that was kind of shitty. Not as shitty as Henry Rollins doing Calvin Klein ads.
I've done quite a bit in my Calvins. Like, I can't believe I'm still alive kind of things. Wild, reckless, self-endangerment. Some of it bordered on sheer madness.
Yeah. Or that video that you showed me on YouTube where he's yelling at these two fans for being hipsters who are like just being like, hey.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if there's like a special sort of flavor to this shop or...
Yes.
What
this is all very hip music.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
What is hip music? I mean, you...
Very young, intellectually intense, switched on people. Listen to this.
So it looks like a good store then.
Well, yeah, it's catering to what some people would call an elitist group of young people. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
See, and that's, you hear the laughter. Because to these people, I'm kind of old and in the way.
Oh,
yeah. I am the bourgeoisie. They are the proletariat.
Get in the van, man. Get in the van.
Oh, I see. Is this where the young elitist hipsters take on the ancient, dodgy, in the way types?
I love your band.
I love your band too.
You don't know my band. It's called Sexual Race.
I'm the 45-year-old narc.
No, we're not. We're just trying to hang out, and there's a fucking film going on.
I know. I'm invading your world.
But then another interesting thing I think about State of Alert to bring up is I read that book about Calvin Johnson and K Records.
Love Rock Revolution?
Something like that, yeah.
It's a good book.
I think that like the last 5 chapters could have been removed and it would have been a better book.
It's a short book anyway.
Yeah.
More like a pamphlet. Hot to chop.
But I thought it was really interesting that when Calvin Johnson found out that the new singer of Black Flag was the guy from State of Alert, he was like, oh, I was really bummed out because I'd seen State of Alert in DC, and he described it. He described Henry Rollins as like, it was like someone's older brother from the football team got into punk.
Oh yeah, I've heard that quote before.
Yeah, but then he's like, but then when I saw him playing Black Flag, he was like, no, he was awesome.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, once again, the State of Alert record, I feel it's like a kind of like a footnote record.
Same, yeah.
It's okay. I like the guitar sound.
Yeah.
But it's nothing that amazing.
Yeah.
If you disagree, email us at actionsonpurpose, podcast@gmail.com.
And we'll send you a t-shirt.
But anyway,
I'm really
Joseph,
into drone music.
Okay, Joseph, I think we should start the system. Do you think people should pay $4 to download this EP off of Bandcamp?
No, not even a little bit. Just listen to it
It's really
once, and then you don't need to own it.
It's a footnote.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's been another episode of Discord, Dead Chord. Whatever chord you want.
Woo, thanks for listening.
They're gonna beam up. If you move too slow, gonna have to fight.